Hey, yo, we are live here for the Protect Your Neck podcast. Going to be breaking down UFC Vegas 58 is what we're on. Dan Tom over here, analysts you can find over at MMAJunkie.com. But of course, in this here program, the Protect Your Neck podcast, we break down high-level MMA, and that's what we're going to do here tonight, whenever you're listening to this. Hopefully it's for the fight. Recording this, the new scheduled time here on my YouTube channel, Daniel Tom MMA. Hello, what's going on, Mark Fellows, and the rest of you guys piling in? So you hear the Kumite faded out by now from for the audio listeners. We tend to edit some cool music. So like last week, you got some Austin 316 for episode 316. I actually kind of went with my little outro thing with Liam, where I was doing Drunken Stone Cold, picking up the kids. That actually played quite nicely there. So, but yeah, if you want to like and subscribe on YouTube, whether you're listening to audio or you're on the YouTube and you're watching this, feel free to just hit that like and subscribe if you like, if you will. Tapatio Combate, what's going on? Looks like this little chat thing here is working. Just gonna pop over and share, and we'll be on our way. So again, just me holding it down, so it's a little awkward in the beginning here. My boomer ass, but I already have everything all queued up and tabbed out. At least getting better. We're getting there, right? And I'll get to your comments in little groups. I'll peek out, for some cover fire when I need it, and I'll probably just get slandered. But it's all good. That's what the internet and MMA Twitter is, mainly all about, for better and worse, for worse mainly. But hey, it's all good. I appreciate you guys here. Y'all the good ones, all right? All right, live now, breaking down hashtag UFC 258. Join here. And look at that, it's sent. It's going to be more of a short and sweet episode because along with now I'm going to be doing scheduled every Thursday evenings. Exceptions here and there, sure, but 6 p.m. Pacific time. Along with that, I'm going to be doing recap shows either the night of, like I did for this last pay-per-view, or the Sunday after for pay-per-views. And for pay-per-views, I'll be having a guest for one or the other. I didn't get the guest in time, which was good with the technical difficulties I had for the breakdown show, right? So, got you a guest. Got at Liam Picks Fights. Go follow him. Big shout for him. Co-hosting as the rest of you guys pile in here. I'll give a shout as well to hashtag The Gambler's Perspective. It's not on the line. It's a different show, but you can find it on UFC Fight Pass, and it's got specifically not my man. Shout out to Fitz Nation, not Brendan Fitzgerald, but Johnny the Greek Corrales, and as well as my guy over there at Fight Odds, Nick Kalikis, the OG. Met Johnny for the first time, and he was a really nice guy, man. And so is Nick. Nick's an OG. This game I had him on top 5 bantamweight wars, I believe. That was a fun one, man. That one's still, I don't know actually how well it holds up because bantamweight's fucking awesome, and how many, have we had? I probably have a whole new list at that point, but it was still a really good episode nonetheless, especially for some historical shouts. Did some music editing in that one, speaking of, but they were kind enough to have me on their show, and it was awesome, man. Really good time, really fun little segment I'm going to be able to touch, and I'll probably reference that here because I gave out some plays and some teases for some plays. We'll see where I landed here. That's why hopefully you guys are joining me. But I wanted to give them a shout, so go give them some love and follows if you're not already. And I know most of y'all have Fight Pass subscriptions, I know I'm not the only nerd out here doing tape study, so yeah, if you type in The Gambler's Perspective, that pops up. My man James Lynch, of course, he's an asset to this space. One of his many roles is producer. He can do that quite well as well, not just the interviews, of course. Does a kick-ass job on that show. Also wanted to shout people who support this show here. MixedMartialAnalyst.com supports it, where you can find Amazon and Onnit click-throughs. Not proud of those, but I haven't looked in forever because I've been meaning to take them off. And I'm like, wow, people have been using this Amazon one, so I want to read it off. I still use Amazon as little as I can, but guilty, right? I'd be hypocritical here. So I want to give you love for supporting me, because that's the silver lining, right? There, as you use the click through, doesn't cost you anything, and we get you right back there. Samuel Negrete, what's up, Dan? I pause, kind of like people pause when they say Nikolai Nigomarianu, but I plowed through that one. What's up, dude? Grateful Dude is here. What's going on? Bilal's Beak. Is that Bilal? I love Bilal Muhammad. Hopefully it's not Bilal. And hey, you hear about UFC planning on doing Charles dirty? Yeah, I think we could guess that because if you look at like their negotiation tactics with even like with the air quotes baddest man on the planet, even when that air quote title was filled with a literal baddest man on the planet, we've seen them still pass this model that I complain about. This is another reason it denies fighter leverage. It's not just for like the very, very small section of nerds like me who have nothing better to do with their time. It's our jobs here to break it down. No. That's the least people you should worry about. It's actually the fighters, the ones who the schedule kind of really hurts in that regard. The schedule becomes the boss. If so facto, say what you will about Dana and the Fertitta era. It was more Las Vegas casino like. So for better or worse, they could still make their own decisions. At this point, it's like I don't even know how much good they could do if they wanted to do. They got a schedule to keep, but it sucks for sure. Bilal's Beak also says Liam is a quality guest. Yes, he is. Dan Urban made it. Shout outs to Dan Urban. Shout out to Couchside Judges, where Dan actually co-hosts with my guy Scott Fontana, who's been on the show. We'll get Dan on this show too, because Dan could talk everything from judges, gambling, to jiu-jitsu, or whatever. Dan's the man. Shouts to Dan. What up? Hell yeah, I got the night off for once. Thanks for the Turner by sub look last week. No problem. I'm glad when they hit. Again, we can't promise it to hit all the time, but when a guy as self-deprecating and as non-confident as me gets confident, it doesn't mean it's going to cash because it's a crazy sport, but it does mean something in regards to my analysis and confidence, especially when you have such a big number like plus 700. Me, I'm pretty conservative, man. Like, usually I'm not throwing half a units on stuff that high. I'm sprinkling. And, again, the half unit as well, putting my money where my mouth is. So hopefully that helps. But, again, I could lead you wrong on those weeks too, right? I've led myself wrong plenty. That's the game, though. We'll talk about the plays this week. But if we take those big shots enough, not to wave the long-term flag, because you can, kind of cut and paste that over a bunch of bad weeks. And albeit true, I definitely don't want to crutch that. So I want to set a caveat there. But, yes, it's very true at the same time. Anybody who says that is not lying. And it's been, part of, value boys, as you guys call it on the internet, value Victorian, as we anointed here, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, man, there's something to that. I ain't hating. Mark Fellows, good to see Dan wearing green and gold in support of Australia. And fucking Malaki, man, I must be super popular with the Australian fans right now because, like, I've been backing Australians like crazy and they've been doing good. I don't know if it's like, it kind of surprises me because, like, I'm still come from the old holdover days where it was just like, who you guys got over there? Elvis Sinisek? You might want to go look that up, kids. You newer fans out there. But, like, no, man, you can, if you want to try to be, funny and borderline racist about it. I've been guilty of, stereotyping MMA from countries before, and it costs you in the wallet, right? But no, in seriousness, it's harder. It's harder to do that. Not that you should be stereotyping anything in life, but you know what I'm saying. You can't, I remember, South Africa came through, right? Last week. That was another one people used to joke about, like, oh, what, Ruan Potts? And now we got, I forgot to give my nickname, especially if he says any kind of suspect things, but Dreykus Duplessis, I got a new nickname for him, Third Reichus Duplessis there, but no, you can't Jesus, speaking of Dan, stereotyping people, calling them racist and shit, stereotyping countries along with that. Guilty, sorry. I'm just saying, you got to be careful about that from a betting perspective, but Australia has been super hot lately, and we'll definitely get to that. All right, I want to get back here as you guys are piling in. I appreciate you guys joining me. Feel free to share, like, subscribe. Again, going to be a quicker episode. Just going to finish these shouts, do a couple of those Amazon reads that I just promised to pay off, and then we'll be at the breakdown, because again, like, dude, we cut off half the show already, so, which is like a recap usually, and Dan ranting about something. But real quick, on mixedmartialanalyst.com, this is my website, the site that supports here this show. You can also, you can find there, when you toggle to the right for the, Amazon click-throughs, there's a secure PayPal link there. If you For those who want to support the show, I know, I got to do Patreon. Everybody's getting on me about that. Even just to do it and like, not charge. I'd probably do it like Capoza, where he just puts it up and doesn't say anything to anybody, and he's just a fucking mensch. He's just a gem, right? Support him, by the way. But, I also know how that is, because once I get the Patreon, it's like, and again, not stereotyping and nothing wrong with sex work, but it's like the girl, getting the cocktail waitressing job. When you get the girlfriend that gets a cocktail waitressing job at the strip club, right? It's like, I'm not dancing, honey. I'm just cocktailing. We know what that leads to. We know. It's like giving your back. No, Jesus. But you know what I'm saying? So, but if for people that do genuinely ask and whatnot and feeling so kind, feel free. It's in my link tree as well, at DanTomMMA on Twitter. That's the social place I'm most active on. At the PYN Podcast while you're there. At the PYN Podcast, in fact, on all social platforms, if you don't mind giving a like, a follow, a subscribe, a circle, maybe not that. It's not on any of those kind of platforms anyways, but the point is I won't pollute your feed if you subscribe and like my stuff, because these numbers matter. Having a lot of conversations still in the talks. And man, do I just feel like, some small dick energy when it's time to, whip out podcast numbers. I'm just like caught with my pants down there, gun with empty bullets, if you will. No, I've got actually quality listener base, but I am trying to grow it though. So grateful for those of you that are here, but we're trying to grow this thing. We're trying to extend the listenership. There we go. There's some sponsorship. There's always dick pill sponsorship, right? Like let's just go Protect Your Neck podcast. Why not? Let's do it. It's a young demographic, but they'll get there. Dick companies, they'll get there. Trust me. What? Wait, trust me. I'm 30 fucking. Anyways, the point is, I'll take the money. I'll take the dick pill money all day. It's funny. I say that, and then I'm like reluctant to do Manscaped ads. So I'm like, people really want to hear about like. They get that with every MMA podcast, and they get enough dick talk here. Do they really need me to just spout on more about it? Yeah, move on, Dan. All right. Who hit the PayPal link? Brian J3 and David P. Probably never again after I just put everybody through all those promotionals. But I wanted to thank you guys and the most recent donators. Much appreciated. Hopefully I'm helping you guys because fucking hell, that's super generous of anybody to even donate a dollar, much less the donations y'all are kind enough to give. Amazon reads, if you click through there, real quick, we'll just do a quick read through. Someone bought a Zodiac MX6 automatic suction side pull vacuum cleaner. That is pretty serious. That wasn't cheap either, so thank you, whoever bought that. That reminded me of like a Chuck Palahniuk story, like that published, and I think it was Playboy, but I went to a reading and it was a real funny story. One of his shorts about a pool cleaner gone awry. Somebody bought a CIVI Odium Small Damascus folding knife. It looks like something like when Bob Ross on Family Guy says, "And if you don't draw that little lollipop tree, I'll cut you." It looks like something Bob Ross would be carrying in his pocket to cut children who don't paint right. Dan, Bob Ross never did that. He could have. Someone bought a Electric Smart Urban Spice Grinder by OTTO, Banana Bros. Thank you for that. I appreciate you guys buying. That is not, wow, that's a real serious, okay, you're either, for the price this costs, you're actually legit a chef, or you're just, really into grinding your weed. Either way, like, why am I hating and making fun of you? Thank you for clicking through. Somebody bought, oh wow, still, I mean, it's a box set, season 3. I'm guessing you have 1 and 2. Maybe you're working your way to 4 if you want to use my click through. Thank you for buying season 3 of Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Zeta. Yeah, man, I watch me some Dragon Ball Z. I'm actually, for a nerd and like a dude who's, if you want to get into the racial stereotyping, half Asian dude. Not much on the anime for Dan Tom, but I did do me some Dragon Ball Z, man. Love me some Vegeta, some Krillin. Destructo Disc, baby. It's the most powerful attack. I don't know how many seasons I got through. I think I got to the Frieza final form thing. And then I didn't stick around for the Android 18s and all that fun shit. But thank you, fellow Dragon Ball Z fan who likes that. Somebody got a Shurion 3-year portable electric accident protection plan. Thank you. I don't know if you got that with your Skull Candy Crusher Evo wireless ear headphones. Those weren't cheap either. Skull Candy, I think I used to have a pair of those. I hope I do, because mine probably weren't cheap either. So thank you for clicking through there. Let's see what else. Somebody got a where is it? Magnetic camping utensils. Well, Dan, if you read the description, portable and reusable travel flatware. Yes, me and my camping. I have all these tools and stuff and fun stuff to set up in the back of my rig, and I still haven't yet. I just can't. I haven't washed my car myself. I just do the cheap drive-through wash because I haven't been able to. I have all the stuff to do it. I like doing it. It's like therapy for me, but I've been so busy. You can't watch tape when you're washing your car, so I just tend to never do it. Wow. How did you get from camping stuff to your car, Dan? Does it always have to be about you? Shut up. Somebody bought Secrets of Dumbledore. Oh, what kind of secrets are we... he always kind of gave me some Sandusky vibes, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Dumbledore, he's running a top team. People they don't look the other way. They just see the money keeps reeling in. Their kid comes back a magician. That's all that matters. Who knows what Dumbledore's doing? No one's asking questions. What's it rated? Okay, maybe it's not the version that I'm thinking of. Okay, it's probably not, because yes, Dan, you always make a perverted twist and everything. Yes, I know, I can't help it. This is why my girlfriend will not watch things she really cares about around me, because boy, will I ruin it. And Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, that's already out? I feel like that was just... Was that a straight to release? I forget, speaking of my girl, she started watching Umbrella Academy or whatever, and I was like, what? Superhero thing with a multiverse theme? We don't... There's not enough of that. And that's what I did. But... I will make some room in my multiverse tolerance for Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Gotta check that out. Okay, before we move on, I'll just clean up the chat and we'll get to the breakdown from top to bottom. Everybody should be in by now. So, let's go. What's wrong with using Amazon? A lot of people can explain it better than me. I just want them to take better care of their workers. And there's the whole economics and what it does to, smaller businesses, what it's done during the pandemic as far as scamming and lackluster job of maintaining their own things for price gouging, so forth, scammers, just a bunch of stuff. And nothing wrong with it. I just, much support to the people who work there, and I hope they are getting their proper support. I'll just say that and leave it at that. We can all agree on that, right? That's not controversial. And again, I use it too, so I'm not hating on anybody for using it. I'd be a hypocrite. If I was literally hating on anybody for it. Just saying, a way you can use it conscious-free. Dan Urban with a smile, but Jamie is misspelled. And yes, Bilal Muhammad's beak. Oh, come on, I like the big nose. Brad Taschuk. Can't believe I was an idiot last week and faded Glover's Garage. Glover's Garage. That's the shirt, by the way. That's what I was leading to with the thing. Shout out to... he wants to make it publicly. No, because he gave it to Glover in the interview. Aaron Bronstetter. I didn't want to bust this out until he gave it to Glover, and then when everybody was accusing Pedro Munoz of not getting his eye poked, when he was taking the selfie with Glover, what was Glover wearing, folks? Go back to that. I know Pedro was wearing his 90s Nirvana. He just needed the chain wallet, right? Maybe some Converses on. But no, Glover was wearing this shirt, baby. It's from Aaron Bronstetter. See, it says Glover's Garage. Isn't that awesome? Doesn't that look Danbury, Connecticut? Piss off the Brazilians, even though it's in Brazilian color. But yeah, Glover, man. And maybe a hint to one, maybe multiple picks. There tends to, we want to stereotype countries. There tends to be some value here. Maybe a little overinflation in the, how does it go for the Russian flag? Was it white, blue, and red or something like that? And what tends to be the blemish, on these Russians as we're getting to the breakdown here. You look at Islam Makhachev, flavor of the month. Not an undefeated record, but who does, aside from Khabib. But he's only got one loss, and who was that? It wasn't even the guys we're going to talk about. It was Adriano Martins, but these Brazilian war horses, they're sleepers. They're the only ones that'll take these fights that are over in Russia half the time, and that furthers the image of, they're bringing them in to lose. But baby, when they're in the garage, you got to watch out. So we'll get to that. Chronic Combat Conversations, my guys, made it live today. Good to see you guys. Tyler and Greg. Tyler Berman also in the chat. Jalen Turner sub, baby. You know what's up. What up? I'll make my purchase after you're done with these reads. Insane. You can see what gets bought. I can see what gets bought, by the way, but I can't see who's buying it. So if you want to, if you want to buy an Ultra Vibration Max 3000, buy a karate gi, maybe a little rope that's gentle on the neck. You can do your little David Carradine impression. Go to town. I will read the product and pontificate it, and even if you're not using it for those things, I will put it together and make it sound like you did, but I will not know who you, in fact, the proverbial, the real, the whatever you, I won't know who you are, so buy away. All right, Fight Night Picks. Oh, is that my guy, Craig Allen? Dan, first time, long time. If that's Craig Allen, go check out and sub Fight Night Picks. That guy kills it. I've done podcasts with that guy since back in the day. I got to get him on here too, if that's the same guy. All right. Hey, Alvin Yakitori. Hello, Mr. Tom. Hope you're having a great day. I appreciate you. You wanted a positive dude. It's Mr. Alvin Yakitori over there. And Jimmy Kudo. Hey, Dan, what do you think of Izzy's comment that media can't do his job, but he can do the medias? Yeah, that was unfair. That's just Izzy kind of doing Izzy thing. I mean, if you thought the chip was, like I complain on the chip on his shoulder when he beat Whitaker, like just because, like, not because he beat Whitaker and I pick Whitaker and I like Whitaker. I like Adesanya too. I barely picked against Adesanya, except maybe when he's fought Whitaker, right? Reluctantly that last time. And I scored it for Adesanya, but it was just like, like he's getting the belt on him for the first time, and he's like, oh, you say I got no knockout power, and it's just like, dude, just relax, Izzy, you're the fucking man, bro, like, just enjoy it, fucking enjoy it, and, you say some cool things, and then, I don't know, man, I'm not going to go on, like, an Izzy diatribe. He's gotten enough shit that's, like, unjust, you know what I'm saying, but, like, just my thing is, I know it's going to happen now, because he's getting all this shit, that he's going to go out, and win or lose, he's just going to be talking shit to the media, talking shit to the critics, talking shit to everybody, not even enjoying his moment if he goes out and avenges his loss and knocks out Alex Pereira. So it's just gonna be the same thing. It's like, dude, just enjoy. You deserved it. Enjoy it. My favorite from Dusk Till Dawn, right? Seth, you've won. Enjoy it. So that's my thought on that. Yeah, I'll be sure to leave you a note. So the rope and karate gis were my purchases. I bet they'd be yours, Brad, but I ain't judging, my man. All right, what time are we at here? All right, 22:58, a little longer, but I was taking my time and having fun there with the reads. So, and you know what? I like only full disclosure, as I'm kind of tend to doing. I'm kind of targeting. I probably only have a tape study on about half the card, but I'll be full disclosure on those, and I pretty much got to everything that I'm considering playing. Maybe stuff comes up. You guys know I'll always be fully transparent and post those. Working on a better way to track them. Going to start it this year, and even though I don't think I'm just going to wait for the next year clean. But yeah, all that stuff is in the works. So let's get to UFC on ESPN 38 or 39, UFC Vegas 58, UFC Fight Night. Rafael Dos Anjos, Rafael Fiziev minus 210, Dos Anjos plus 180. Time of this recording, my main event breakdown dropped at MMAJunkie.com. My main event take, which has not changed, dropped already on the Gambler's Perspective on UFC Fight Pass. So some of you may already know this, but yes, I know. What? Dan Tom's on the Southpaw, Brazilian veteran, underdog? I know, crazy. But yeah, I'm on RDA here. I took him last time, and again, you guys should know this as listeners here. Moicano stepped in last minute, but I actually had RDA and was bummed because it was a 5-rounder, right? Then 2, and it was in the big cage I picked him. Why wouldn't I pick him in the small cage? And even though the number is not quite there as we got, I'm hoping it will, knock on wood, we get RDA to 2-1 odds, but it opened at an even wider number. And time's on Fizie's side. So the longer this goes, the more chance the fruit that is RDA finally goes sour and falls off the tree, right? We've been seeing a lot of that lately. It was a bad night for the vets like 3 cards ago or so, whenever that Tim Means Kevin Holland fight was on. We've seen a lot of fighters from Joanna, Cowboy, Jessica I, just kind of call it quits, right? I completely get it. I know they flashed the stat. Shouts to my guy, Jerry Harper on Twitter. Asked me about it. Something about like 65% roughly. The younger fighter wins. So it's like, well, he's like, well, we don't need tape study at that point. I just bet the younger guy. And that's the trend that I always talk about. And, my hipster ass and contrarian ass rails against it. But it's like you got to pick your spots. There's no easy fix for anything, for formulas, methods, for betting, picking the fights, getting ready for the fights, judging the fights, right? All these things. The best requires reps. There's no excuse for hard work. Some people can kind of make those excuses. We call those the athletic cheaters of the world, right? But hey, I might be betting on some on this card, not hating. I'm just saying, you got to be careful, because if you go blind betting that, well, a lot of the times the books and the market are going to be on your side too. So does that mean you end up on chalk most of the time? And if you're on chalk most of the time, or if you're blind betting chalk, for example, well, shoot, you really are, you really got to, hit something like 80-something% of your picks, using arbitrary variables, as far as your favorite lines. But any way you cut it, you got to be hitting pretty high there. And if you're going to be going with the younger guy, well, long term, you're probably going to be going with more favorites and more chalk too. So not only are you risking blind for an easy formula, but you're risking blind on a lot of hype chalk trains, and that's a good way to lose some money in MMA too, if you do that too much, right? So it's like everything, man. You got to pick your spots. Interesting stat, sure, but I want to know what the sample size from this stat. How many years? Just this year, just recent years, just UFC. Which just UFC is fine. It's mainly what we do. It's mainly what I do. It's the main sample size, for better or worse. However we want to agree or disagree with that, it's what it is, by volume and by brand and value. So. But yeah, I do like Dos Anjos here, and not even so much for the southpaw striking. I think Fiziev said it himself. Most of his competition at MMA has been southpaws, but most of the competition that he's talking about was outside the UFC, because he is 1-1 against UFC level southpaws. That's what matters. That's the stats that I track, right? UFC level. I always make sure to throw that in there. If it's Bellator, I'll put Bellator or notable. I'll use that language, but that's kind of how I'm going off of, right? And he's 1-1, and granted, the one victory, it was against Alex White. No offense against Alex White. Shout out to John Gooden. Love his commentary. But he, at that Fiziev White fight where I posted that clip where he's just like, he swallowed gasoline when he was 4. Doctors thought he would suffer irreparable damage, both neurologically and physically, but here he is, living his dream. I'm sorry. As somebody who has neurological permanent damage myself, okay? Not something to laugh at, but goddamn, was that just unintentional humor, sometimes the funniest, and that was kind of it for me. But that was his one victory. Not the most high level guy, and no offense to Alex White. He if you ever hear him talk, he sounds like Billy Bob Thornton from Sling Blade. I definitely don't need him waiting outside my door. And then the one loss was to Javier Bardem, Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men, Magomed Mustafayev, who actually will switch stances even though he lists himself as southpaw, and he fought most of that fight, as short as it was, and knocked out Fiziev with a spin kick out of orthodox. So it's like, how much do you really want to count that? So again, as much as I champion my stats and hate on others, like, the same principle still applies for my stats as far as stats in general, with MMA being garbage, right? Look at last week. Brad Riddell was 2-0 against southpaws, but one of my most confident pick was a southpaw to club and sub him that he was facing, right? I think that was the case with Brian Barberina. Negative record against southpaws, right? Negative experience, but the guys that I ended up picking actually went against those southpaw stats more often than not, right? Minus guys like Cerrone, who just had epic losing streaks already, so that really wasn't a surprise, right? But again, so I keep that same energy in my defense, right? I'll throw out the hipster stats, but I'm not like jerking all over them and running to the bank with it, biasly. Like, I'll still apply the same logic that I throw out to other stats on my own. So make no mistake, I'm not putting myself up, and I'm not putting actual statisticians like the Richard Manns of the world, like good dudes like that, down, like who actually do legit numbers work. So for whatever that's worth, I keep the same energy. So no, it's not even so much the striking. Fiziev, that's where his obvious big advantage is going to be. He doesn't throw a lot of uppercuts, but I suspect he'll want to, because Dos Anjos, from Jeremy Stevens to Eddie Alvarez, to even some of his more recent fights. I think Felder hit him with a good uppercut. Moicano hit him with a good uppercut. Uppercuts, it's again, another guy similar to Volkanovski's height. A guy that can stick and move and counter, but inherently maybe does his best work pressuring. Volkanovski can and has played all those hats through different iterations of his career. But as good as these guys are, uppercuts are like something that just follow them, right? Because of their stature and just the natural tendencies to duck, slip, and bomb from below, as they kind of are accustomed to doing. But what I do like is Dos Anjos' takedown games. His wrestling and his jiu-jitsu really stepped up when he went to welterweight. And you wouldn't think it would because of the size difference. I think he went from 5'7" to 5'8". Then they made him like 5'9" for his fight with Tarek Saffiedine. I think they eventually brought him back down to 5'8" again. But the ever-changing heights of RDA, right? But yeah, like he really had that trend. And even against these bigger guys that are taller and bigger and stronger, like RDA comports himself quite well in the clinch. Like, he's got a really strong posture. He's hard to get down. And he frames off elbows and knees quite nicely. That being said, Fiziev has really consistent. He's really good in the clinch as well. Obviously, he's a Muay Thai guy. And he's really consistent about doing that Leon Edwards left elbow. So if Fiziev is able to, and I actually suspect him to defend early, Dos Anjos could also get a takedown early, maybe even his first try, right? But as the guy who's coming in, picking and betting on Dos Anjos, I'm telling you, I would not be surprised for Fiziev to shut down a couple attempts early. And whether he's able to shut down one attempt, two, and sustain it or not, look for those elbows off the break. Fiziev could very well punish Dos Anjos similar to the way Leon Edwards did in that regard. But the uppercut and hook returns are what I see potentially knocking Dos Anjos out in the first two rounds. I know Fiziev kind of broke trend and actually got a finish in the third round in his last fight. But that fight was not the most torrid pace, as it is when you have two former training partners. You're touching, you're feeling each other out. It was high level, it was technical. It had very big moments besides the one at the end. It had big moments throughout. But as far as a torrid pace, a Dos Anjos level pace, no. I mean, Riddell was off the back foot even, right? He's not the same wrestler. And even him with his, plan B, plan C, half-hearted kind of takedowns that are just for transition and resets kind of almost, right? Even he was able to take down, not meaningfully. Granted, he's not RDA. But even he was able to take down Fiziev, right? And I think just making that defense and that pace, that's what's going to tire Fiziev. And I don't think I'm crazy for saying that, because shouts to James Lynch in his interview with James Lynch. You know who else said they're worried about Fiziev in the later rounds? Fiziev said he's worried about himself in the later rounds. He's not even doing the fighter thing like, He's like, no, like, it'd be a good test if it gets there, and You know, it's on the back of his mind. This is his first time in those 5 rounds. The small cage is only going to bring about more clinch stuff, which, again, Fiziev good in the clinch, but that's going to be RDA. RDA, will be able to push to the clinch, corral. He can get clinch trip takedowns. He's gotten a couple in his last fights. Got him one against Big Paul Felder. I know Felder and Moicano took those fights last minute, so you can almost throw those out in a way. But at the same time, well, let's look at Dos Anjos. Dos Anjos still got clipped at times by those guys. Took him well. So the cut isn't, whatever he figured out with the cut, it's not compromising his chin and performance like it did toward the end of his run against Ferguson at elevation with a cut that almost killed him, as well as a cut that almost killed him against Alvarez. And I'm not taking anything away. I love Eddie Alvarez. I bet on Eddie Alvarez and cash big on that fight. Believe me, not taking away. But, you also can't take away that those really bad, horrific cuts did exist. So what I was looking more in those Moicano and Felder fights was, how's his durability? Good. His gas tank? Always fucking good, never in question, which is a huge advantage that he has here. And how is that wrestling and grappling trend? Well, he stepped it up. He steps it up way back in the day. He was just a jiu-jitsu guy. Gets out-grappled by T-Bow. The guy who beat Khabib. Ever since then, RDA, he just ramps up his wrestling, right? And then he gets out wrestled by Khabib, right? He gets probably, in my opinion, one of Khabib's arguably most impressive wins at the time. Is a lot of things. I mean, it still ages well, but even at the time, right? Because RDA was on a come up. He does that welterweight run, and he really focuses on the. Luckily, doesn't run into any wrestler that level or Khabib again, and his kind of switch over to the States with King's MMA, Cordero, pressure fighting, Muay Thai, really kind of just gives him a motor, gets the title. When he goes back to welterweight, he ups the wrestling and grappling, like I said, and again, looking back at those last two lightweight trends, he takes those trends still. He's still grappling his ass off, some of which in the very small cage he'll be fighting in. He knew how to use that small cage. It really helped his game. It didn't when he fought guys like Usman, obviously, right? And that's kind of been the thing. You really have to be out, you have to be, either you're going to catch RDA like Jeremy Stevens did, or you really got to be a big wrestler, right? And RDA is 14, and, again, stats. Here's a stat that I think is really good, 14-3 RDA is, especially when you have a bigger sample size as RDA, these stats mean more, by the way. But this style of stat, especially attached to a person with an actual sample size, I think it means a lot. Doesn't mean he's going to win? Of course not. No stats mean that. None of us can guarantee that in MMA. But 14-3 when the man scores just one takedown. Just one. Those three who are the three losses, I believe? Tyler or Greg from Chronic Combat Conversations. Shout out to those guys asked me. And I said, well, the first one was Colby, which he has an argument on winning that fight. At the very least, he did way better than most people, including myself at a time, gave him credit for initially. Especially when you're looking at the judging criteria change up as far as the damage and impact, being prioritized, if you will, right? So there's that. The second one was Clay Guida, like way back in the day, and that one ended by a freak injury, a jaw injury, right? And then the third, well, that was his UFC debut, Jeremy Stevens. He takes him down 4 times, but gets uppercutted to hell in the third round, right? Just gets decapitated. By God, that man's got a family. But like aside from those 3 times, like those are the 3 times where he's gotten a takedown and still lost. Can he get a takedown of Fiziev and still lose? Sure, man. Sure, that absolutely can happen. But again, you're gonna give me a nicer number, at least in the opener, and possibly we'll get back to the same spot. A nice wide number again. And you're gonna put it in the small cage. That's gonna favor the grappling. That's gonna increase the pace, the anxiety, the pressure, and those things are all gonna be in a symbiotic relationship with each other. And the favorite is unproven and is flagged in 3-round fights. Like, I can't help but take a shot here. I haven't yet. It's went up from like 170 to 180 since I in the last 24 hours or so since I did the show on UFC Fight Pass Gambler's Perspective. I want 2-1 or close to it, and I'm probably gonna lay at least a half unit, no more than 2. Depends what number I get. If I can't get any more than 180, maybe it's like 1.35 or something, or 1.75 or something like that. But maybe just a unit and a half of 1.5. Yeah, that's going to be the money line. But what I already did play was Dos Anjos round 3 plus 2,800, 0.17 units. By the way, can someone edit me a GIF of like someone loading a gun and each bullet says like 0.17 U, just so I can post that when the fucking round props are coming. It's pretty fun, right? Come on. Round 4 plus 3,300. Round 5 priced the same way, plus 3,300. Of course, that's 0.17 U .17U, 17 ducats on each of those. You don't got to lay a little to get a big return. And, I did it in one house that lets me combine it because you have to, because their numbers sometimes aren't even as good as, like, the straight-up round props. I'm going to add some more books, but feel free to hit me with books that you guys recommend for U.S. North America that I can get to. Feel free in the chat or in the comments. Daniel, Tom, MMA. Took round 3 sub plus 2,500, .17U. Sub round 4 plus 3,300, .17U. Sub round 5 plus 4,000, .17U. He could win by decision. So if he wins by decision, I figure it's, cuts the profit down a little bit. But if he wins inside the distance, it's a nice night, and even if the rest of it fails, it'll cover all, and we might be able to still profit there. So that's the idea. Still haven't played RDA yet, but I'm going to. I don't want any less than this 180. I want to get hopefully 2-1. Hopefully everybody just sees young fighter, and they see the V at the end. Oh, is he Russian? And they start freaking out. But again, what tends to be the foil for a lot of these Russians, these random Brazilians, baby, these random Brazilians will sometimes ice the Eastern Euros and the hyped Eastern Euros and Russia. Nothing against those, by the way, fucking tough ass people, man. All the respect. But yeah, that's who I got. All right, before we get to the co-main event, just want to check this out. See what's going on in this shit show. Esther Lou. Hi, Dan. I was at UFC 275 and saw the atmosphere for Weili Joanna. What were your thoughts on Weili's performance, especially her wrestling? Her wrestling's getting a lot better. A lot better. Really liking, actually, the trends from her wrestling. It's going to fit her game really well because she was already a talented and strong brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And even though her striking is crazy, obviously, it's not like she can't be hurt and or knocked out and or suspect to take damage there still. So I think it's great. Great, Esther. Really good development. That shouldn't be overlooked. I know we're wooing on the knockout, but smart on you to pick up the wrestling. Samuel Negrete. Nice RDA. 5 rounds, too. Yeah, I like that, too. Jimmy Kudo, 598. In your opinion, can RDA pressure Fiziev and ring cut? Yes, it's just can he not get countered, right? RDA actually has really good ring cutting, and his footwork and particularly his head movement have only gotten better since his stint with Perillo. I know he spent the last camp or 2 in Brazil, now with Nova and Yao, but it's not like a lot of those guys don't have good head movement. I know he's working with Johnny Eduardo and a lot of the coaches down there. And, again, in his most recent fights, that was something I wrote, actually. RDA's wrestling and head movement and exchanges look good. And, again, if we're looking at an older fighter with a grappling base, what happens, especially with the wrestlers, they get away from their wrestling, right? And not because they fall in love with their hands, but what's my other canary in the coal mine? Knees and back, wear and tear, right? Dos Anjos is still doing level-changing shots, arguably the best of his career right now. Again, he can still get clocked with Fiziev. Fiziev is the rightful favorite. I don't disagree with any of these things, folks. So if you're a Fiziev backer, go take the plus 240 inside the distance. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit, don't listen to me. But at the same time, again, another thing I want to look at, an older fighter, how are their eyes and exchanges? Are they seeing shots? And when Dos Anjos is showing some of the best head movement in his career, and he's actually technically not working with the noted boxing coach he was before, and he's still showing those improvements, still showing to retain those trends, that's good. That's good. Again, does it guarantee he's going to win? He can go out and get ice. And then I'm down, just under 2 units or right around 2 units is what I'm planning to spend on this fight for RDA backing, right? So could easily fall on my face here, but you're going to give me the shot to either profit a unit conservatively or have a big night that makes up for the rest of it and still profits. I'm going to take that shot, especially with the proven product and the plus money side. Chris London. Hey, London. What's up, Dan? Alvin Yakitori wishing all those fighting on this weekend's card a good performance and good health after. Yeah, important good health after. Boy, the wear and tear that even my schlubby butt is putting on my body. I'm not even doing 2 days yet. I just signed up, and of course I'm getting injured all the hell and having a bunch of. It's been kind of a crazy shit show week. Like I'm all hungover, not literally hungover, but kind of have a hangover going from last week. This is part of the program where everybody's about racking up injuries. I'm rocking knee pads, bandages. Always having to wrestle with the big guys to give them good work and. people not trimming their nails, just slicing up my legs and just trying to get to me, and then my knees are skinned up shooting on these kids. We were sparring on Monday, and it was like hard to the body, light to the head, and wrestling takedowns with big gloves. And everybody was going hard to the head and forgetting about the body. And I'm just like, I don't want to teach the lesson with head trauma. So you know what? We're elevator down on everybody today. I was fucking wrestling my ass off, baby. And I think by the end of this thing, if I don't injure myself, knock wood, dude, I think my wrestling might actually be better at this fucking age than it was. And wrestling was always my weak suit, so it's not a high bar to clear. But I think my wrestling is going to be better now, which is crazier to say. Like, even my shots, like athletic stuff. But as long as RDA is still doing the shots, forget my ass. I'm a poser here in the Brazilian colors. We need the real Brazilians to have their shots in order this weekend, right? But yes, good on Alvin to shout out Fighter Health, man. I can't imagine what these guys' bodies go through. You know, fucking, by the way, shouts to Chris Curtis, man. He took that fight. Chris Curtis in, tail out, Curtis in. It was funny, the day that got announced, I saw Chris Curtis in gi jiu-jitsu, doing my guy Bryce Harley's class. I was like, look at Curtis brushing up on his jiu-jitsu, and then came in handy because like that day or the next day, he's in for the Hermanson fight, and then I was backing out today, and then I almost backed over Chris Curtis. Thankfully, it didn't, because it would have been like Chris Curtis in, Chris Curtis out. I would have felt really bad. No, don't worry. I wouldn't back over the investment, folks. Hopefully that number's nice. We'll see on that one. We're getting to the co-main event, folks. Don't worry. We're getting to the co-main event, folks. One more, and then I'll touch back to you guys. Mark Fellows, Volk just announced that he's 12 weeks out with a broken thumb surgery today. All the best to him, man. One more. What's good, Dan? Do you think RDA will target the body with his rear straight, or will Fiziev rear kick be too much for him? You know, whether he's going for that body shot or his actual wrestling shots, changing his, I said uppercut hook returns. Here's the other thing that could knock RDA out here. Running onto a knee or running onto a knee that was meant as a head kick, right? Speaking of that, great note there, Ryo. But yeah, that's actually what worries me there. But that being said, as far as the most available targets for Fiziev, because he's got really good defense, he checks a lot of the leg kicks that come his way. Obviously, he's got really good slips and returns, but the dude can be hit to the body. Now looks to have pretty crazy body conditioning, as I imagine he would, a guy that's that aware of the body and punishing people. But it's a very high hit percentage point for people, and RDA will attack that body too. And RDA is a southpaw, so he's attacking that liver side, which don't matter how tough you are, adamant or not, that liver is the kryptonite, man. So that's the red button there. All right, the co-main event is Kyle Bohio, minus 225. I'll try to push through the rest of this pretty fast. I appreciate you guys participating in the chat. This is awesome. Thank you. Kyle Bohio, minus 225. Armin Petrosyan, plus 190. This is feels like a stay away spot for me, but if you're on the chalk here or parlaying it, all the best to you. I got Kyle Bohio. Obviously, I took him last time, and the analysis went through from, Gatsier Margadzhiev kind of overthrowing his shots to the flying knee that I was calling for, the grappling, all that stuff. Small cage, so I got to imagine he's going to grapple Petrosyan. Petrosyan, I actually think, will be harder to hold down than Gatsier Margadzhiev, despite Margadzhiev being a wrestling specialist / wrestling base. The guy's kind of fraudster. He's Shamsatov level, right? Again, tough people, but again, everyone's got, it's the percentages, right? It's the same around the world, and they got their, hey, he's a phony. They got theirs too. I'm not saying that, but maybe. I'm just saying, Petrosyan, really good get-ups. We saw that. It's up to Bohio. I think he can have success countering Petrosyan. Petrosyan looks like he's finishing this camp at American Top Team 2. I'm not sure what southpaws he's working with, because Bohio's a southpaw, and even in the cans that Petrosyan came up fighting, none of those guys were really southpaws. So that's the big mystery here. I'm going to take the southpaw counter fighter. It's going to be really close, though, if this stays up on the feet or primarily in the clinch. most of the time. I think a lot of the leg targets are going to be taken away, not just because of Bohio's southpaw stance, but Bohio seems to have really good defense returns. We'll mix in like weird oblique kicks as well as Thai clicks. He credits himself with a Muay Thai black belt to go along with his judo brown belt. And not just a judo brown belt, actually like national accolades and championships. And then, of course, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, training with Damian Maia for 18 years. They're in the small cage. I can't help but go with him, but I don't know if it's going to be by decision with some ground control and submission attempts in the mix, or he actually does get the submission. The numbers aren't as juicy as I would like. So, to be honest, nothing really looks sexy to me. If it does to you, all the best to you. But I'm picking Bohio. Probably by decision, but I'm gonna stay away. Although it would be nice to like cash a Bohio by decision and make it back for that Petrosian by decision. But it was a close enough fight. I really can't complain on that one. And Hobocop just kind of can look bad when he gets hit. But we saw what Hobocop's backing. All right, easy, Dan. All right, next fight we got Saeed Nurmagomedov. Saeed bet. Shout out to the MMA Analysis podcast. Minus 320. Douglas De Silva. Speaking of the MMA Analysis podcast, Douglas De Silva de Andrade, or as my guy Braschuk in the chat likes to say, Douglas De Silva de on steroids. It's like, you know what? That fits. Don't even make it rhyme. It doesn't need to. It's so spot on. I mean, the guy looks like he just took all the muscles with him. And I used to say that before, but if you look at it, when he went back up to like 145 to fight Lerone Murphy and then came back down, and like in that process, like he just stole, he's like the thing from Stranger Things. He gets more powerful with the more people he absorbs, and he just like, except instead of people, it's like vitamin shops, he just goes in, all 5, 6 of them, and he's just like, watch this. The dude's a unit, as my friends across the pond would say. So this one, I said look at the over here and another over. I didn't pull the trigger on that yet because I got to finish study on the possible other, or the under here and the other under. That being said, I finished the study and I still like the under, even though it could go long. But because of that, I actually like the under / the additional bet and view that I found in my tips today. Nerdea, even more, and it is again the old wives' tale, the old cure for a dominant, overinflated Russian is a old Brazilian, baby, an old Brazilian. Douglas De Silva de on drugs. There we go. That's even better. Braz Tazchuk. Hey, Nolan King's in the chat. DT, what's up, Nolan? Shout out to my guy at MMA Kings. You know him on Twitter. Speaking of reporting media, interviews and the like, go check him out. He's the man. But yeah, Douglas De Silva, he is the man too. Just like Nolan King, Douglas De Silva does not stop. It does not matter. It does not matter. The craziness is going on. You can count on this guy, win or lose. He's going to work, baby. And that's all you can really ask for in a dog. Saeed Nurmagomedov, not related to Khabib. They're cousins in the same way as like Hawaiians and Armenians refer to everybody in their general vicinity as cousins. Well, Armenians is different. They may, in fact, quite literally be the cousins. Dan, we just said we're not going to racially stereotype. I got love for my Armenian brothers and sisters. Hey, I grew up with a bunch of them out here. I'm just saying, we and as guy from Hawaii, I'm just saying we are probably, if you want to stereotype, we're guilty of using cousins. So. Believe me when I say it can be, be careful. Don't take it too literal. Us Hawaiians too, we go, hey, auntie, right? Hey, auntie, it's almost like a sign of respect. Something I didn't show my neighbors the other day, but you know what? They were yelling at my dogs and my disabled mom, and homie, don't play that shit. But yeah, it's a sign of endearment, right? You go, auntie. Hey, how's it, auntie? Hey, how's it, cuz? So it's not a literal relationship. He's not a wrestler. He's more of a Wushu Sanda guy. A lot of Dagestanis are either like kickboxing Wushu Sanda guys like Zabit, and they probably, if they're introduced, like 9 times out of 10, they're going to come from Makhachkala, right? That's a region real strong in not that there's not good wrestlers that come from there too, obviously, but real strong Wushu Sanda presence. And even though Wushu Sanda is not on his record, it's actually just all MMA accolades, amateur MMA accolades, and amateur MMA Masters of Sports. The guy came up fighting in mainly kickboxes. He can wrestle, but he's not that great. It's mainly for defense. His offense doesn't look too great or explosive. I mean, he's kind of a string beanie guy at 135. I wouldn't expect him to have the most explosive takedowns. And neither does Zabit, and he's a string beanie guy at 145, who is more of a wushu sign of base. But Zabit's actually got some like legit level changing takedowns and really good technique to compensate. Because you can tell if a tall guy doesn't. You really, if you bend at the back improperly for a takedown, it's like you can really spot that easier. And maybe fall prey to it, arguably. I'm not a super lanky tall guy. I'm just average 5'9" over here, but I wouldn't know. But yeah, he doesn't look super athletic in that department. And again, D'Andrade, he has lost to bigger guys. Half of his losses come to those bigger guys, but they're like really good bigger guys usually too, like Lerone Murphy. Or at the time, I didn't go back to watch this one. Admittedly, it was earlier in their careers. Zubaira to Hugov, and then of course his other losses at 135 were like to legit Peter Yan and Rob Font, not too shabby. Saeed could win here. He could even win by decision, and then that kind of kills the under here, right? And then if he wins, obviously that would kill a Douglas De Silva, now I want to say D'Andrade, damn you, Brad. D'Andrade play. But here's the thing. It was actually watching that Lerone Murphy fight that sold me. It was watching, and that's something. If someone watching them in a loss is what sells you, and you're getting a big plus number, then there could be something to that, right? And in that loss, like, I scored at 29-28, Lerone Murphy, but if a judge wanted to be cheeky and going off of damage, like, the last 2 rounds were much closer than what reads off paper in that fight. He hurt Lerone Murphy, made him uncomfortable, was able to take his back multiple times even, hit reversals, scrambles, get out from bad positions against a way bigger guy. Like, aside from, his crazy, like, muscles, like, Douglas De Silva, he's not even, like, that big for 135, much less 145. So it was crazy that he was fighting up there for so long and getting a lot of his wins, probably like half his wins up in that division, right? And he was still able to put up a fight, hurt Lerone Murphy, like, just carry power to the 3rd round and stuff. He has been tagged, and almost worse so in recent fights. Like his last one against Morozov was a sweat, right? Or never in doubt, depending on how you want to look at it. But he got dropped, right? And I could see Saeed Nurmagomedov, because if he doesn't get a decision, what does he get? He gets, like, 1st round finishes like Umar, but his are, like, weird. They're, like, weird opportunistic strikes that come out of nowhere, and that's kind of how Douglas De Silva Andrade would get knocked out. Of course, he's only been stopped by strikes once, and that was by Peter Yan, and that wasn't even like, dude, he took a hellacious beat. It usually takes a hellacious beating to do anything to the guy, because in that fight, the corner had to stop it, which I applaud them. They should have stopped it, but I'm just saying, like, the guy still. That fight was only going one way. I'm not trying to shine shit, so to speak, but, like, damn, man. The guy still, in a way, hasn't been stopped by strikes in there, if you know what I'm saying. And then he got the guillotine loss to Font, which could happen here because we saw Saeed's got a good guillotine, so he could early club in some of them. In that case, we cashed the under with what I am planning to attach it to, and I will attach it to something probably more than likely here, because it does serve as a good hedge if you compare it, I think. And if it does go to decision, well, again, you got a guy who's not quitting. He's landing power shots the whole time. So whether he wins a legit decision or like a cheeky one, like, Douglas De Silva is in the running for that too. So again, even if we don't hit the under and it goes to decision, like, it doesn't mean that we're dead in the water. And if Douglas De Silva D'Andrade hits, let's say for somewhere close to 3-1, he's only plus 265 right now. But if I can get closer to 3-1 by fight time, Nurmagomedov, everyone's going to see the name. It's going to be too high. They're just going to be throwing them blindly in parlay pieces. You get close to 3-1. I'm planning just to put a flat unit on Douglas De Silva, and that way, if he hits, with what I'm planning to bet, even that could kind of cover as far as a break even, and then we got Dos Anjos to maybe take us home with some profit, right? So yeah, that's my plan. Again, like RDA, I haven't played him yet because, again, he's against a younger, hyped up Russian, so I'm expecting, who deserves to be the favorite. Not hating on the Russians, not hating on these fighters, not hating. But just calling trends for what they are, right? What happens in these situations? It's juice, it's inflation. Even if it's right, even if it ends up being on the right side, it's still an inflated right side, right? And from a gambling perspective, that changes the opinion a bit. So yeah, I'm gonna wait for closer to 3-1 for Douglas Da Silva before I pull the trigger for a unit. And I'm gonna wait closer to 2-1 before I pull for at least 1.5 for Dos Anjos. Let's see what's up here. What is poppin'? RDA is gonna Glover Garage the fuck out of Fiziev like you did Kevin Lee. I'm hoping, baby, round 4 would pay a lot. The head and arm choke is what I see too, especially because Fiziev's really muscly like Kevin Lee. And when you're tired, that just feels like it's gonna be right there. Ryo, be careful, Dan. You're gonna get angry comments in squiggly form by Khabib fans. I know, man. Even though the fact is he lost the T-Bow fight. Keep fighting the good fight there. Khabib fans are gonna hate me. I love Khabib's style too. Like as a fighter, like if you took his fans and the bullshit hyperbole and this legacy talk, like, dude, I would be like Khabib's probably the biggest fan. I would be the nuthugger like you guys would be sick of. Like that's the funny thing. Like that's why like it hurts me inside to be such a hater. But it has nothing to do with him. It's just my contrarianness when I see such obvious fact and historical stuff kind of overlooked and technique, like check mark stuff that this nerds out about. Like of course I'm gonna fucking say something about it. You know, Dan Urban. Emerial Lagasse Stadium Sportsbook had a fantastic cookie and coffee milkshake dessert in the V. And what are you trying to do? I think it closed though. Oh, that sounds fucking good. What the hell are you guys getting me hungry for? What's up, brother? Tell Nick Billy 24/7. Tell Nick Sick and Charles Lee I said what's up next time you see them. I will. Oh man, I love me some Charles Lee. I gotta catch up with Charles, man. Charles is the man. And of course Nick Sick is the man. I miss Lagasse Stadium. It was a great place to watch fights from. Close them. Yeah, Junkie Radio used to do like some of their get-togethers and stuff for like fight parties at Lagasse Stadium. It's like a popular watch-along spot. Jumbo Sang, hello Dan. Off-topic question. Careful, you will get me off topic. Just kidding. What are your thoughts on Weili training with Cejudo in 2021? Hickman Bros in Thailand for the last camp. I'm a big fan of her and started jiu-jitsu because of her. That's awesome. Esther kind of had a comment about her wrestling before, and your comment actually parlays straight into that because, of course, not only Cejudo, obviously known for his wrestling, Fight Ready, as well, the camp Cejudo goes out of, but the Hickman brothers, who are American collegiate folk-style wrestlers, not that Cejudo doesn't have that knowledge as well, even though he in freestyle, right? It was freestyle, right? It wasn't Greco. Yeah, Hickman Brothers, of course, over at Tiger Muay Thai in Thailand, one of the camps that Weili utilizes. So I'm a big fan of that too. And good on starting jiu-jitsu. Look at Weili's game. You know, she's with the wrestling and the power. That's definitely a good person to inspire you there. I also saw in a live chat with Weili that she will go to Fight Ready at Arizona to fight against Esparza in the United States. Thoughts? I think that's a great move. I think it's a fantastic move, especially that she's continuing wrestling trends. When she didn't train there, she did in her last camp, still looked fantastic in that department. So yeah, I like it. And you know me, I love me I love the 2-time undisputed champ cashing tickets for us like a badass. Never in doubt, Carla Esparza, the GOAT. The 2-time GOAT. You know I love me some Esparza. But, wink nudge. Probably not going to be siding with her next time. Douglas Da Silva. Yeah. Jimmy Kudo, do you think the calf sweep, not calf kick, as a debasing technique will be the future of MMA? Sanchai does this a lot. Yeah, Sanchai does a lot of fucking things that a lot of us wish we could do. When he first said that, though, I know what you're talking about. When you first said that, I just was thinking about like the Ken and Ryu. What is it, like down and Y? I don't know what the button is. Someone will probably hit me. Fellow video game nerds in the chat there. I was like, that would be sweet to see. And we've seen some of that. We've seen someone hit that. Who hit that? Was it fucking? It's probably like Tony Ferguson, probably. It's something like that. But the Sanchai style one, yeah, that would be sweet. What if Fiziev did it just to fuck around? Like, how cool would that be? Especially if he did it to RDA. Brad Tashchuk, Saeed and Khabib are cousins the same way Snoop Dogg and Sean O'Malley are cousins. That's right. They are cousins by simple virtue of herpes of a shared joint. Actually, I shouldn't joke about that. Well, for Snoop Dogg and O'Malley, it's okay to joke about that. But yeah, that obviously doesn't apply to them. But you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's same spirit, same energy. Let's just say that. All right, let's get down and knock the rest of this card out, shall we? Chase Sherman plus 165. Jared, Eye of Vendera. Give me sight beyond sight. Thundercats fans out there, anybody? Vandera minus 195. I haven't researched this fight yet. Clearly, I'm in such a rush. I know I'm missing out on some value here. No, I can't pick Sherman. No offense to him. I'm going to go with Jared Vandera, who's underrated kickboxing, even though he used to wrestle. His main coach is a wrestler and owns a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt to his name. You could tell he really tried to shore that up and actually show that off. Was it his last fight against Olenek? But the point is, Olenek's the last guy to do it against. But, fight IQ being equal, I'll go with the guy who is more skilled and wants to be there more, and that is Vandera. Vandera wants to be there. He'll get frustrated when he's losing, but he wants to be there, whereas Sherman, you can just see it in his eyes, man. It's like song lyrics that I can't grasp right now, but there's a billion versions of it where it's just I could see where you've been in your eyes. Your eyes tell a story, girl. It's okay. Shh. That's how I feel. Chase Sherman. No, I don't feel like running up and putting my hands on his lips. But you know what I mean. Yeah, it's ooh, I feel bad for him. I want to pat him on the back and buy him a beer. I'm probably gonna end up picking Vandera when my main card article comes out. So you might want to check that to see what my pick is for that. Jamie Malaki versus Michael Johnson. I know there's no Australian accent. I do the Anik thing. Mark Fellows. I do the Anik. I go blasting from Malaki. Sorry. He's Ted Danson's bastard son, where everybody knows your name. It may have happened there. It may have happened when Ted, he might be Ted's Australian bastard when he went over to Australia to spend some of that whatever money he did with Whoopi Goldberg. Or did he see dating Whoopi Goldberg? Were they a thing? I just got a weird visual. Anyways, let's Jamie Malarkey minus 230, Michael Johnson plus 195. I understand the number getting up to the plus 200 on Michael Johnson. I love me some Michael Johnson, man. I bet Michael Johnson against Gleason Tebow. That was one of Dan Tom's early bets, so I was very, very and I cashed him against Edson Barbosa. So I cashed him against some southpaws. He's not facing a southpaw here, Malarkey. Malarkey technically 0-1 against South, but again, it's I'm almost picking against these stats, right? But it comes to the matchup. Stats aren't everything, folks. Even my beloved Southpaw stats. In Malarkey, I know I whiffed picking and playing against him against Jalen Turner, but I learned my lesson and made that money back, right? But even in that fight, Jalen Turner, obviously, that doesn't age as badly. And, Malarkey actually, I forgot, he actually had his moments in that fight, too. Looked like he even, I think, potentially hurt Turner at one point. Couldn't keep it up, and the dynamic, and the body shots and then the flurries against the fence. It was beautiful stuff by Turner, Mr. Turner. But the stuff I was saying about Malarkey still holds true about putting a pace. And even though he can get iced, granted, it was at 145. That was actually against Turner. That was the first time he got stopped at 55 because Malarkey's shown to be much more durable at 55 when he's not facing Mr. Turner. That is. And again, he's facing another long, very capable southpaw with some speed to him. I know Johnson's older, so it definitely could be dangerous here. So I didn't finish my tape study. I want to more see Johnson's recent fights again, believe it or not, than Malarkey. I know Johnson's the more proven product. Why? Do you have to watch tape on him, Dan? Again, I do my due diligence, whether I'm picking for them, as I tend to do, or in this case, picking against. I still want to make sure I'm doing my due diligence. And when I do get the older fighters that I do have a soft spot for, regardless of how I pick, one of the things I do look for is speed changes, right? Speed changes, again, what are they seeing? How are their eyes and exchanges? Not just how fast are the punches coming off, at what rate are they shot and not throwing, but are they seeing the punches too? That's what I more want to see. For Michael Johnson's side, but that was the over I was teasing at. You could still, most houses get upwards of the neighborhood of plus 170 if you parlay Michael Johnson under with what do you call Michael Johnson Malarkey under with Saeed Nurmagomedov and Douglas Da Silva de Andrade. Again, if that hits, maybe that pays off the first 2 dog shots. Hint, there might be another one here that I didn't pull the trigger on yet, further down below. But I may only put 0.7, the 0.75. No more than a unit max, and I don't even want to bet this fight. We'll get to that one, though. But yeah, that's something I'm looking at. I will post if I play it, but that is what I'm looking at. And I feel more inclined to play that if I play the Douglas Da Silva de Andrade side, because if Douglas Da Silva age catches up to him, right, he gets iced, then we still make some money off of that, right? So that's kind of my thinking there. Maybe I'll have another bonus bet or something I'll like with Malarkey and Johnson when I run through the comb, but I don't think we should have too many surprises, although I did say I liked the favorite, both favorites in both those fights when I was on the UFC Fight Pass show. But I did say I didn't get to those fights yet, and it wasn't anything for sure. I just said it's what the direction I was looking at. The only hard bet that I placed, or that I called on that fight, was the one that I placed, and that's the only one that I placed and I called and gave you guys here, which was the RDA round props. So let's push through the rest of this fast. Nina Nunes plus 130, Cynthia Calvillo minus 150. They're on the main card. They just added him too. God damn it. I thought it was too good to be true. I was like, what? 2 weeks in a row? Only a 5-fight main card? Of course, I only got the one last week because they had to, because it's pay-per-view. Don't give them any ideas. I'm sure they'll put that to 6 too. My goodness, justified. It'll justify it when they raise the price to $100. But of course, we got to have 6-fight main cards and throw fucking heavyweight fights on it because, God forbid. What the fuck are we doing here? Anyways, my early pick is Nina Nunes. It probably won't change, and I probably won't bet it even though I'm on the dog, which means that she will win. I will protect you guys. I will stay off that one, and that means that I'll probably cash because that's my luck with the female underdogs slash mental lower level underdogs. All right, deep breakdown on that one. I know. Same with this one. Ricky Turcios minus 190. Hey man, Zahabi plus 160. Turcios' volume could give Zahabi some opportunities, but ultimately I'm going to go with Turcios' volume. Miguel Torres light. No strong pick, no strong play. Probably won't even look into it, so be careful. Antonina Shevchenko minus 170. Courtney Casey, cast iron, plus 145. Not surprised that Shevchenko's favored. I thought it would be a little tighter. That being said, even though the value on the female dog, yada yada, I'm actually going to pick Shevchenko here. I didn't play it. I was looking at maybe that over. This would be maybe an over I would maybe use. Maybe if I don't like the under in Johnson and Malarkey, which it's a pretty damn tempting under. Or it's pretty fairly priced, Not great to play straight up because it's chalk, but I'm just saying it's probably where it should be at the same end. But another thing I was looking in the in the total parlay theme was the over for this fight. I didn't look into this fight, and yeah, it's probably really expensive, so and would lessen the value. So I took Shevchenko and stayed away. Cody Brundage plus 125. Trayson Gore minus 145. I'll pick Trayson Gore, but I didn't look at this fight, so I'm not confident in it. And nor should I be, nor should you be. These guys are still trying to find themselves, so maybe you see an angle, but ultimately lower level guys still developing, guys still trying to find themselves. Do we really need to mess with this? I'm trying to keep it light as possible if I can. When I was playing conservative, 2 or 3 plays, which is what I'll be looking at outside of the round flyers here. That's when I seem to do my best. That's why I'm also hesitant. I was just searching for other stuff to play, and maybe I don't need to play this, but it's the only other one, and it would fit the 3 plays, and they just happen to all be underdogs. We got Carl Robertson plus 120, Kennedy Nchekwu, or as my guy at your UK fan, Wes Colvin, likes to say, Kenny Nunchucks, baby. I love me some Safe Saeed and outside of Uriah Hall, which was pretty easy to guess how that one was going to go. As far as the winner, maybe method is a little harder to guess. Aside from that, Fortis MMA has been kicking ass. Do not like betting against Fortis MMA. And that's why I've been reluctant to pull the trigger. Don't like picking against a guy like Kenny Nunchucks, a good guy like Kenny. I mean, this guy's story to help his mother. His brother's got autism. His mother's got ALS, and he's like fighting to supply them with money. Like that's why he started fighting in 2015. Like, how the fuck do you not root for this guy, man? how do you not root for him? I almost want to take the unit or the 3/4 unit or whatever I end up considering, thinking whatever playing on a guy like Roberson. I should just, does Kennedy have like a GoFundMe for like his, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not trying to be like put down or derogatory or anything like that. I genuinely mean it. Like how do you not fucking root for that guy? All these things want me to go the way of the favorite. It feels like everybody and their mother is picking Ncheku. I don't think I've seen any Robertson support on the timeline. No birdies in my ear. But it feels right, man. Is this guy really going to drop 3 in a row? I know I picked Brendan Allen to win by sub, and I feel like that poor IQ of... And it wasn't that poor of an IQ. The guy was in a crucifix, and he was able to sneak a leg through. And going for the heel hook was the only thing to get him out of that. So going for the leg lock actually wasn't bad. It was staying around playing and going for the submission instead of getting up once he created the scramble. That was the faulty IQ. So I'm not saying that it wasn't faulty IQ. It absolutely was. But how he got into that situation in the first place, I realized upon rewatching. I'm like, that was actually more forgivable than I remember, A. And B, something, and this was weird. This is another reason, like, I almost want to bet because, like, just to tax me for the time. Because I actually went and watched every UFC fight and Contender Series fight that these guys had. And I know Robertson, bad fight IQ screams off the board with him, right? But when you actually look at the moments, he doesn't have a lot of moments. He was the guy that just, he gets rushed into his first kickboxing fight with Jerome goddamn LeBanner, right? And then he has, like, this early success beating, like, a guy like Ryan Suspand who was somewhat tested on the regional scene already. Wasn't just a Contender Series guy rushed, and would be a Contender Series guy, would eventually find his spot, and even, say what you will about how the rankings were, got to a ranking spot. He beats a guy like Darren Stewart, who's been around for a minute, who, when mentally things are right, he's a hard out. It's more of just kind of a head case with Darren Stewart. It's his own worst enemy is himself. He's a tough guy to get out of there. Beats him, gets both those guys out of there fast, then gets rushed against Cesar Mutanch. He gets rushed against Glover Teixeira, taking that on short notice, going up to 205, where he's back up to here. And I know his record there isn't, the greatest when you look at the fights like Teixeira or whatnot, but that was Glover Teixeira. That was early in his career. That was short notice. And 185 was hurting him. He was missing weight against guys like Marvin Vettori, who, that wasn't really that much of a surprise. Again, I'm picking a guy with a bad southpaw record here, right? He is 1-3, but you look at those, 2 of those were submission losses, I believe, was Vettori again, a wrestler guy who is not doing bad on the feet. Same with Cesar Fajeda before they took it down real fast. Didn't want none of that. But then he loses a legit, southpaw loss to Khalil Roundtree. That's his first stoppage loss by strikes. So you got that fresh in your head too. But if you look at that, he actually wasn't doing too bad. He was just waiting the storm. And once you get about a minute and a half to 2 minutes into round 2, your percentages as Vigo, and I love Khalil Roundtree. You guys know I have a history. Grew up going to the same shows as that kid back when he was 300 pounds. I'm not talking shit here. I'm just saying if you look at it from a resume perspective, mathematically your chances go way up past that 7-minute mark. And it was what part of the second round was it? It was the very beginning. It was like his first flurries that Robertson gets caught with, right? And it was just a beautiful check right hook around, just knocked his equilibrium out. Then he takes one of those brutal body shots in transit. He actually recovered from the shot well, got to a good grappling spot, but then Khalil scrambled free, and in the scramble, did that classic kick to the body. And again, those body things like are really deceptive. Like he gets hit with 2 hard shots after, then finally goes down, but it took like a flurry, and it was really that body kick that did it. So again, you look at that, and it was mistakes, and there were things that maybe he could have done better to prevent that. He definitely could have been more active. Obviously, don't get me wrong, not making excuses in that sense. I'm just saying, if you look at what actually hit him, and you look at what Khalil, again, kind of like a Darren Stewart, it's kind of their own worst enemies themselves, right? And you look at who showed up and what he hit him with, like, there's not very many people that were going to survive that night. Well, let's look at Kennedy Nchukwu's southpaw record. 0-0. We don't know, folks. We haven't seen him against southpaws. And, I think I heard, I don't know, one of the commentators, I don't know if they didn't do study, but they were like, Kennedy's a wild man. He's gonna, and like I don't know if maybe they just watched like the end of the Olberg fight, but even rewatching that Olberg fight, it wasn't as crazy. Not that it wasn't crazy, but it definitely wasn't as crazy as I remember it, and like the hyperbole was built upon. And in that fight, that was crazy, and where Nchekwu won, and he won by finish even. And even in that fight, crazy fight, he won by finish. Even in that fight, he has moments where he's just looking in his head. He's gun shy. There's like a confidence issue because this guy's like such a nice fucking kid. That's another reason why like you want to root for him. Like I think he's one of those gentle giants where he just like he's a nice kid. I don't know if he, and I'm saying this as a nice kid who's not wired for fighting as much as I would want to be, as much as I love it, as much as I committed my body to it. Not wired for it, folks. I'm not the most competitive dude. I'll be like, you can win here. I'll tap. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's more. I'm more by battling myself in there. Sorry, dogs. Dog's barking. Does that mean I got to bet Robertson? My dogs barked in the beginning of the segment. Ben, relax, buddy. In the beginning of the segment for I was gonna mute it, but I'm like, then you guys just sit here watching the mute screen. They'll calm down. Ben, relax, bud. The beginning of the Gambler's Perspective segment. I'm sure James, being an awesome producer, probably like muted and muffled it and edited it out as best he could. But the dog barked a little bit when they threw to me for RDA. And I don't know what Molly's record over on the MMA Vivid section. Zane's dog. I pitched that idea to him last time. I don't think Zane was feeling it, but whenever the dogs bark on a breakdown podcast, I always note that. I don't know about you guys, but like I was saying, we don't know how Kennedy Nchukwu does, and he kind of gets in his own head, right? And you need Saeed, and maybe that's the reason why he's kind of got some late finishes too, because he almost needs like time to wake up, and we'll kind of get in his head out there. And even though I scored, and most people I believe did, his last fight for Nikolai Negumereanu, even with the point, you could have justified a score to him. The fact is, he was going on his back foot, and he really wasn't sitting down for the kill shots. It was like guys need to fall apart. It's like there has to be a lot of things. Things need to go his way for his winning conditions for finishes to come out. And perhaps it could, but Robertson's never really been a guy to gas. For all his things, he's never been a guy to gas. And again, what's Robertson's main thing is fight IQ. Well, that was another thing. I went back to watch Kennedy Nchukwu's literally every fight but one. Maybe even that, like probably every fight. I think I went through and watched every fight. There is one super suspect moment in at least every fight where he's taking his eye, and in one of them he does a lot, which is a really scary one. Was it Victor Ortiz? Was that the boxer that had it happen with Floyd Mayweather, where they look away and they don't listen to the ref, and the action's in? They didn't call the action out, or the action's back in, and they're still looking at the ref. Like, he does stuff like that all the time. Like, to the point where if you watch one of his fights and you see him legitimately foul, and you see Saeed Saeed get mad, it's because it's like Saeed Saeed almost knows this, because he's seen that behavior so many times that whether he's doing the foul or getting legitimately fouled, like Kennedy will check out. And he gets legitimately fouled in one of his fights. You see Saeed Saeed yelling at him, yelling at him like it was his fault. And people like, oh, what's wrong with Saeed? Like, no, like I get why Saeed's doing that, because he knows that confirm, however, whatever the proper wording is there. To me, that is something. He does lose concentration and make suspect decisions in there. He's always, despite having a magnet for getting poked in the eye or kicked in the balls, he pokes people in the eye all the time, and kind of has that out there, so you get the point deduction if this goes long. Even though Kennedy's takedown defense underrated, I know I picked Danilo Marquez to sub him to single leg get to his back, which he did in my defense, and he had his chances. But what happened when he didn't? Well, then it was going to be Kennedy all day, round 3, right? So I definitely don't want to underestimate him there. And part of me was thinking Robertson by sub. That's definitely, it's either sub or decision, club and sub or decision, I think. But I don't know if he can sub him. It might have to just win a decision here. And just positional grappling, leg kicks from the outside. Because that's another thing is Robertson, he apparently loves to face southpaws. I don't know how much anymore after the Khalil Roundtree fight. But otherwise, he has always been noted in saying that. And you look at it, he actually gets more aggressive with southpaws generally. minus with Khalil. And again, I don't know if he's going to have that problem with a non as aggressive fighter and a fighter who will take the back foot too as well, like Kennedy will sometimes do and has been trending to do lately at least. So I don't know about that. Small cage. Robertson's going to have the leg kicks. I know there's a huge reach disadvantage, and it's legit. It's like 74 inches to 83. It's something stupid. But I was also looking when he fought southpaws as far as straight punches. Now, straight lefts, that's going to be something to watch out for. And the checked right hook, which ironically he ended up getting caught with. But the jab from the southpaw stance may be one of the better things that Robertson has an answer for. He likes looking for jabs and slipping and doing inside slips or outside slips as well. He has answers for both. And that's what I kind of needed to see, because Kennedy, especially from his corner, always wants him to jab. Use that length. Use that 83 inches. And a lot of that stuff comes off that lead jab. So that's what I was looking for. And Robertson actually has a good reaction to that. Now, it's the left and right hooks that follow up or can check and sneak. That could be worrisome here. That could definitely catch Robertson. But I feel like Robertson has more ways to win. He's the more skilled fighter. He's more proven and more experienced against southpaws, and this matchup could benefit him. Even though the reach, you got the leg kicks, he attacks the legs like crazy. And again, if you're straight punching and straight jabbing and having a lot of your offense come off of that, trading a jab for a low kick, I tend to like the low kicks more often than not, right? Especially with the way a lot of MMA fighters can jab. So I'll take me the more impactful low kick, which I think is going to be there for Robertson all day. I think he's a better fighter in the clinch. He'll have clinch offense there as well as takedowns and grappling. So, don't be surprised. I'm not telling you to follow me on this one, especially, believe me. But at the same time, it's funny. I just feel like the reason why everybody's not picking Robertson is for fight IQ when the other guy literally outnumbers him 7-1 in bad fight IQ in UFC fights moments. So, but we got one really big moment for Robertson, I think. I don't know. We'll see. I could eat massive shit, but if I do play, it'll be not too crazy. Maybe a unit at the most. I might not even play it, but if I do, I'll post it. David Onama minus 645. Garfield versus Garfield. Now it's Garrett Armfield. My dyslexic ass likes to say Garfield. Plus 480. Did not study this fight. Don't know anything. I will take Onama. Obviously, I liked what I've seen from before. Looking forward to seeing more. Sucks that he has to settle for another short notice spot, whether it's him or his opponent, right? Ronnie Lawrence, minus 140. Saeed Nurmagomedov. Cock ramen, baby. Cock ramen. I'm going to go with Cock Ramanov there. Yeah, I'll go with Cock Ramanov. I did not study this fight. I just saw an interview he did. I don't know if I'll get around to it. I just feel like Ronnie Lawrence, he's got a grappling takedown heavy style. It's in the small cage. Designated favorite. Makes sense. But it's like the more you look at it and his game, I feel like there's moments for him to be upset. We've almost seen a couple of those. I feel like it's coming down the pipe. So I'll take Saeed Nurmagomedov to get some opportunistic shit and spoil the party. We'll pick him in Top Master. Probably won't play him because I didn't research it. And if I do play him, it's probably because I did research it. And if I do play him, I will post it. So there's that. I was going to be a dick with the watch hours again and not recap my picks and plays. But I don't know. I feel like a dick when I don't now. So I'll still do it. But I appreciate you guys for watching. Those of you who watch live, especially. And those of you who stick this out, whether it's the audio version or video, you don't just skip to the end. You watch. I appreciate that, especially on YouTube. The watch hours is the last thing remaining. I still have a few hundred to knock out. So if you guys can help me, Daniel Tom MMA, I appreciate it. Before I recap, I was just gonna recap the chat here. Let's see. Brad Tashuk, Vandera sub plus 700. He started grappling one fight too soon. Yeah, that's right. By the way, the Robertson sub, another reason why I wouldn't want to take that and would take the money line is because we should be seeing a plus 700 line for that. But if you're going to fucking give a guy like Rafael Dos Anjos 5 rounds, a proven guy like that, and you're only going to post him at 600, inflate him to 700, but you're only going to open fucking Carl Roberson by plus 500? It's not worth it to me. I mean, plus 500 is a nice number, don't get me wrong, folks. It's nicer than a lot of sub numbers, but it's like if I'm going to take a degenerate number, I want like a plus 700 around there. And again, you're going to see those with heavyweights or light heavyweights with no ground game. I know Robertson is kind of a secret grappler. Maybe the odds makers picked up on that, but again, what Brad said, that makes more sense if you're going to take these random shots. Vandera sub plus 700 started grappling. One fight too soon, and what's his name? Sherman's going to look for a way out. That was part of the reason why I took the Romanov sub. Right? I said look for that because even though Sherman is usually tough as a $2 steak and takes damage on the face, when a guy's on top of you, you will give that neck, baby, or that arm, especially if you've got the 1,000-mile stare, like I am predicting he has. So don't hate that. Jared Vandetter is such a great name. What are your thoughts on Jack? Jack Slack is the man. I don't subscribe to his Patreon or anything. I know most of his stuff's behind there. If he has like random episodes of things, like I'll listen to that. I try to keep my filter clean, especially people that are really getting the nitty gritty and analysis, and people like that are already super influential, like Jack Slack. Like I remember, he used a term like mummy guard, and like everybody and their mother was using it. And I want to be careful of doing that because I actually have to write and put out my own product and content, and I don't want to rip someone else off, especially someone I respect. But yeah, all respect to Jack Slack. He's the man. Mark Fellows, Australia. No offense, Dan, from an entertainment standpoint, this seems like a phoned-in card. UFC seems like they don't care. Hey, you're not offending me. I'm the guy that's like talking shit about their schedule and cards and like just want it to stop. I want to old yeller some of this stuff, even with my job with it. It's at most days of the week sometimes, So believe me, man, you're preaching to the choir. So no offense taken, sir. Samuel Negrete. Vandera by Scarfhold. The Scarfhold, baby. Oh, that is the heavyweight special. If I'm like picking someone to win by sub in my main card article, like you'll see a Scarfhold python. You know what? I may actually have that in there, and it's I'll credit Samuel Negrete and Brad Tazchuk for that. If Scarfhold is, hey, my guy Clint, Die Hard MMA podcast. Go sub to his channel. Clint's the man. What's up, Clint? I gotta get him on. He's had me on his show like a couple times now. I gotta get Clint on one of these shows, man. Breakdown, recap, or top 5. Clint's always a freaking good time. He's funny. All right, let's recap and get the hell out of here. Thank you guys for joining me. Like and subscribe if you haven't. Taking RDA over Fiziev. Taking Bohio over Petrosian. Taking De Silva Dion Drugs over Saeed Nurmagomedov. Taking Aya Vandera. Give me sight beyond sight over the Shermanator. Taking Malaki over Michael Johnson, my main man. 3 Kings, baby. 1999. Strong year for film. Taking Nina Nunes over Cynthia Calvillo. Taking Miguel Torres Light, Ricky Torcios over, hey, man, Zahabi. Taking Antonina Shevchenko over Courtney Cast Iron Casey. Taking Treson Gore over Cody Brundage. Taking Carl Roberson over Kenny Nunchucks, Kennedy Nizhekwu. Taking David Don't Call Ya Mama Onama over James Garfield, Garrett Armfield. Can't help myself. Taking Saeed Rakub, Cockram, Ronnie Lawrence. No offense, Ronnie Lawrence. Sure, you're a nice guy, but brace yourself, son. You boys ready for a Cock Ramanoff sandwich? To quote Harold and Kumar 2, I don't think I've seen it, but I probably just saw that sign. Wow, Dan, you would see the jail rape sign of a movie if you could only see one scene. Listen, folks, listen. Sometimes you're the Hammer, and sometimes you're Edward Norton from American History X, okay? These are the swings of the betting game. That's what you got to deal with. So good luck, whatever you guys are on. I'm going to be on RDA if I can get him close to 2-1, at least for a unit and a half. I'm going to be on Douglas De Silva Dion Drugs, especially if I can get him at 3-1 or close to it, for probably just a whole unit. Either 3/4 unit or a full unit at most. If I do play Carl Roberson, I'll take the plus 120, considering he opened at plus 125. Not risking a lot, technically, profiting on the right side of that movement. What I did already play was RDA round 3, plus 2,800, round 4, and round 5 at plus 3,300, all for 0.117, 0.17 U, 17 ducats. Feel free to make a GIF of the loading bullets with little 0.17 U, 0.17 U, 0.17 U, or 0.17 U. I would love you forever if someone does that for me. And then I did the round 3 sub plus 2,500 at one house, 0.17 U as well. Round 4 sub plus 3,300, 0.17 U. And round 5 sub plus 4,000, 0.17U. No other rounds, no other props I'm looking at, aside from possibly parlaying the Malarkey Johnson under with their Nurmagomedov Da Silva under for plus 176 for a unit. Look out for something like that. Other than that, I don't got anything down coming down the pike, and I will post it on Twitter at DanTomMMA, at the PYN Podcast on all social platforms. Again, thanks for liking and subscribing here. Daniel Tom MMA on YouTube. MixedMartialAnalyst.com is where you can go to find smartphone friendly players, and to support this show with the click throughs. Toggle to the right if you don't see it for on it. Amazon. And there's a PayPal link if you just want to donate straight up. Pay that man. Pay him his money. Otherwise, till next time, protect your neck. Thanks for Mr. Alan Yakitori. Always love the show. The thoughts and the analysis. Wishing you success. Thank you. Let's close out on Alvin's positive words as one of the positive dudes in this space. So good luck on your picks and plays, folks. And always protect your neck.